Hello everyone, I'm Casey from the Rishi Outpost, and in this video, I will be ranking all 10 live-action Star Wars movies. We figured we'd start off our channel by giving out our rankings because what better way for you to get a grasp of how we view this galaxy far, far away. I will be ranking these from my least favorite to my most favorite. I'd like to emphasize the word favorite, as this is how I'll be judging these movies rather than how good I find these movies to be. And I'd like to add that both Griffin and I object to art being objectively good or bad. However, we do differentiate between what we think is our best and what we think is our favorite. Also, before I go into my rankings, I'd like to say that I enjoy every movie, including the prequels and sequels. Number 10 on my list is Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. Here's where I like to emphasize again that I'm ranking these movies by how much I enjoy them, not about how good I think they are, as I understand that this is a really unpopular opinion. This movie is fun with little substance, but even most of the fun moments don't stick with me as much as I feel like it does to most people. This movie does really well when it comes to the characters, however the characters, with the exception of Han and technically Obi-Wan if you don't count the prequels, haven't yet developed to their most enjoyable selves.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
There are some things about this movie that do really stick with me though. The soundtrack of this movie is classic. Pretty much every cue is iconic. John Williams gave us Luke's theme / the Force theme, Princess Leia's theme, TIE Fighter Attack, the Battle of Yavin, and the Throne Room all in one movie. The Battle of Yavin is one of my favorite battle sequences in all of Star Wars. The dialogue and the music in this entire battle keep my eyes glued the entire time.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Number 9 on my list is Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. This movie tries to be fun like A New Hope with more substance, however I don't think George Lucas was able to strike that balance here. The reason I still list this above A New Hope is because the fun moments connect with me more here. I grew up with this movie already out, so there's many moments in this movie that are iconic to me, such as Qui-Gon using his lightsaber to cut through this door, Jar Jar, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon swimming to Oto Gunga, the pod race, the Gungan army, and of course Duel of the Fates.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Number 8 on my list is Star Wars Episode 6: Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi has some really good moments, but also some not so good moments. Much of the Jabba's Palace and Endor sequences really hold this movie down, though the Sail Barge Assault, Space Battle of Endor, and all the moments with Luke and Vader bring this movie up. I find the Jabba's Palace sequence to be dull overall. The Rancor fight is nice, but isn't enough to redeem this confusing and boring plan to rescue Han. The Ewoks really brought the Endor sequences down. I don't have a problem with the fact that teddy bears were able to defeat an entire legion of the Emperor's best troops, but more so that they did with rocks and sticks. Also, I don't really find them that fun to watch. The Sail Barge Assault is pure Star Wars. Luke deflecting shots, cutting down grunts is always fun to watch. A blind Han trying to save Lando from the Sarlacc is funny, and of course is Leia choking Jabba to death. The scenes with Luke and Vader together always keep my eyes glued to the screen. It is so entertaining watching Luke try to convince his conflicted father that what he stands for is no way to live. Watching Anakin take control over his Vader self is always satisfying.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have.
Number 7 is Solo: A Star Wars Story. Solo is another movie that is just a fun movie with little substance, but man is it fun. The casting for this movie was really well done. Alden Ehrenreich nailed Han's fake confidence. Emilia Clarke really captured Kira's guilt for not being a person Han can respect after seeing him again. Donald Glover had Billy D. Williams' swagger. Jonas Suotomo is a great Chewie. Woody Harrelson played a great morally ambiguous role model. Paul Bettany nailed the calm yet hot-tempered crime boss. Also, seeing Maul on the big screen again is always a win.
You and I will be working much more closely from now on.
Solo deserved better. It shouldn't have released only half a year after arguably the most controversial Star Wars movie made. Make Solo 2 happen.
Hope I see you around sometime.
Number 6 is Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens. I think that this is the best paced movie Star Wars has seen. It takes all the emotional beats of A New Hope but amplifies them without making you feel overwhelmed. Harrison Ford is still a great Han, which comes as no surprise. Kylo Ren is an amazing villain. His mask makes his voice sound so cool, yet without his mask, Adam Driver is able to stay intimidating but can visually express his emotions. Poe is such a lovable character who cares for the people he interacts with. The casting for this film was also superb. Every actor plays their part amazingly. Han's death was handled with grace and respect. The lightsaber fight is, in my opinion, the most visually appealing lightsaber fight to ever grace the screen. The soundtrack for The Force Awakens is also wonderful. Rey's theme, Kylo Ren's theme, March of Resistance, Jedi Steps are all wonderful tracks.
May the Force be with you.
Number 5 is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is a great film. I understand why so many view this as the best, even if it isn't my favorite. Where some movies have some high highs but low lows, The Empire Strikes Back is very balanced. There aren't really any standout scenes for me personally, and in this regard, it's very similar to A New Hope, Solo, and The Force Awakens in my eyes, but obviously out of all those, I like this one the most. The humor in this movie really lands with me. Putting 3PO and Han together was a great choice. Yoda is a great character as a follow-up to Obi-Wan. Hearing Yoda talking about the Force is just iconic. Also, his theme is one of the most underrated tracks that always gives me chills when I hear it. Lando is also a great character, and it sucks that he had to deal with the situation that was given to him. Fortunately, he turned around before it was unsalvageable. Now, Darth Vader. He really got to shine in this movie. The new effects they did to his voice made James Earl Jones' already iconic voice and made it even more iconic. His suit looks more sleek and shiny than it did in A New Hope, and finally gets his own theme, which would go down as one of the most recognizable songs in history. Plus, he finally gets to be the main villain and has a proper lightsaber fight.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Number 4 is Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Well, this is certainly a controversial movie. I think this might be, in my opinion, the most well-directed Star Wars movie, but this is coming from a guy who doesn't watch a lot of films outside of Star Wars. Many shots in this movie are gorgeous, and for the most part the themes of the movie are very well laid out. This movie has amazing acting from across the board. Mark Hamill and Adam Driver especially knocked out of the park here. Even though Mark Hamill didn't seem like he really enjoyed the direction they took Luke, I think he gave his best performance of Luke Skywalker. One of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars is Luke arriving on Crate to face on the entire First Order. The score here is beautiful, also the dialogue between Luke and Kylo just feels so Star Wars.
Strike me down in anger and I'll always be with you.
Even though many decisions weren't decisions I would have preferred, I find them to be interesting and full of thought. I don't think certain character decisions were contradictory to their established characters either.
See you around, kid.
Number 3 is Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Here's another very unpopular opinion. The only downside of this movie is Anakin and Padme on Naboo. George is self-admittedly not a good writer when it comes to dialogue, and it really shows here.
You are asking me to be rational. That is something I know I cannot do.
The romance should have also been more gradual. As it is, it feels like they just sort of love each other, barely having been with each other for a long time. Plus, scenes where they pretty much just go on dates without anything happening just isn't fun to watch. But the rest of the movie is such a fun ride. Anakin and Obi-Wan chase down an assassin who tried to kill Padme through the city world of Coruscant. Obi-Wan leads an investigation who is trying to have Padme killed, which led deeper and deeper into Palpatine's machinations, without getting too deep to understand how bad the situation really is. Anakin has visions of his mother dying and revisits Tatooine to try to stop this vision from becoming real, only for it to come true right as they meet for the first time since he became a Jedi. In a rage, he slaughters all of the Tusken Raiders responsible for her death.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
Even though the droid factory sequence wasn't well paced, I found it to be really fun, especially seeing R2 being a hero. The Battle of Geonosis is such an awesome battle. This is the first time we get to see clone troopers as well as super battle droids. The vehicles used by both Separatists and the Republic are great. This is the first battle in the Clone Wars that will kick off my favorite era in all of Star Wars.
The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has.
Number 2 on my list is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Man, is this a fun movie. If I feel like watching a Star Wars movie but unsure which one I want to see, this is my go-to. I really enjoy the characters in this movie. I love how Jyn was basically taken away from her dad, only to have a new father figure who maybe wasn't the best at parenting, and is seen as an extremist by the Rebel Alliance. Also during this time knowing her real father is building weapons for the Empire. Cassian being a hardened Imperial spy who, according to him, has been fighting tyranny since he was 6 years old. His first scene shows him killing someone just because the man was a danger to his mission. We see the darker side of the rebellion in this movie through Saw, the Rebel Council, and Rebel Intelligence. We also see the good side of the rebellion, where many members go on what is basically a suicide mission to try and make the galaxy a better place, without a regime that rules through fear. All in all, the whole movie feels like a love letter to Star Wars fans, making the Death Star's flaw an intentional design by the engineer who is a great at it, in my opinion. Also, the score for this movie is very underrated. Just because it wasn't John Williams doesn't mean it doesn't hold up to the other movies.
Your father would have been proud of you, Jin.
Finally, at number 1 on my list is Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Where do I begin with this one? The opening is super fun and exciting, and Anakin and Obi-Wan truly feel like brothers in the whole first act. The Jedi crash landing the invisible hand on Coruscant always makes me happy. Padme announcing her pregnancy to Anakin was honestly some great acting by both Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen. Now on Coruscant, we really see how conflicted Anakin is, and further see how much Palpatine is having a hand in that. Padme tries her best to help, but to no avail. The Jedi only tell him exactly what he doesn't want to hear, and I think Hayden does a really good job at portraying all of this. Also, Ewan McGregor is a great Obi-Wan.
Hello there.
Anakin is a tragic hero that I really sympathize with. The entire last half of the movie reflects this until the very end, where they set the groundwork for A New Hope in the original trilogy. I could talk about this movie for a long time because I just love this movie so much. I don't see Revenge of the Sith ever getting past in my rankings.
Obi-Wan, may the Force be with you. Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with you.
Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Also, leave a comment on your thoughts and maybe your rankings as well. My buddy Griffin also shared his rankings for all these movies as well, so check that out, as he will likely write most of the videos to come on this channel. There are definitely similarities in our list, but also some big differences. I'll leave a link to that video in the description at the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.
Do we take prisoners?
I don't